This is the 13th video in the beginning programming series about Octagon. And in this video, we're going to start looking at how you can have your program make decisions. For more information, visit jb.works and type the TMT code shown at the bottom of the screen at the search prompt. A really useful thing to be able to do in a computer program is to make a decision. And so decisions let your program react to changes, and they can be changes to internal parts of the program like variables or numbers, or they can be changes to things outside the program like temperatures, positions, speeds, all that kind of thing. And decisions involve tests and actions. And what I mean about this is, if we look at the swimming pool here. Now, I might wake up in the morning and decide I would like to have a swim. I need to go to the pool first, and what I'm going to do is, before I just jump in, especially now that it's winter, I'm going to put my foot into the water. And what I'm doing is I'm testing the temperature of the water. I'm determining what the temperature of the water is with my foot. That's the measurement. The next thing is I will have an internal threshold or a value of temperature that I think is a good temperature to have a swim in. It might be 20 degrees, 25 degrees. If you're in the tropics, it might be 30. So what I'm going to do is, now that I put my foot in the water and I know what the temperature of the water is, I'm going to test my foot temperature value against my internal threshold. So for example, if the water from my foot tells me it's about 20 degrees and I'm happy to swim if it's anything above 18, then I'll go for a swim. So I've done a test. The next part is the action. So the action is what you do as a result of a test. In this case of the pool, there are two actions. One is I don't have a swim, and the other action is that I do have a swim. So I'm making a decision. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn this swimming scenario into basically a little program, and that's this code over here. And we'll have a closer look at that later on. But for now, let's just look at the testing process. So here I've got a water temperature variable and a Jack's threshold variable. And what this test is doing is it's deciding whether the water temperature is greater than Jack's threshold. And the result can be either true or false. For example, if the water temperature was 25 degrees centigrade and my threshold was 20 degrees centigrade, then this is a true test and the result would be true. In which case the action is I'm going to go for a swim because the water's warm enough. But if the water temperature was, say, 10 degrees and my threshold is 20, then the test result is false because the water temperature is not greater than my threshold. So the action I'm going to take is I'm not going to go for a swim because it'll be too cold. So you see that this is the test, and it can be either true or false. And the action is the result, or what you do after the test has been done. And that's what your program decides to do. So to recap, making decisions in computer programs is all about doing a test and then deciding what course of action to take after you've got the result of that test. Right, so here is a program version of our swimming pool scenario. So at the top here I've got a variable called water temperature, which is the temperature of the water. And then I've got another one called Jack's threshold, so that's my threshold. So for me, anything 20 degrees and above, I want to go for a swim. So what we do is we come down and we print it. We print the temperature, the water temperature, and then Jack's threshold. And this is the bit where we do the test. And this is the test in here. And so what we're saying is if the water temperature is greater than Jack's threshold, if that's true, then we're going to go for a swim. And we're going to exit the program right now because we're done. We're going to go for a swim. So that is the case where the water temperature is higher than my threshold. So if we run the program, you can see over here the title. So the water temperature is 25. Jack's threshold is 20, so 25 is definitely more than 20, so it's true. And of course it said its water is great. Let's have a swim. That is the action. So this is the action that we take with these values. Now, if I change this around and I say that the water temperature is 10 degrees, I run the program, the water temperature is 10, my threshold is still 20, too cold. No way I'm going to go for a swim. And the reason for that is that we did the test here to see if the water temperature was greater than Jack's threshold, and it wasn't. So we didn't run this. Instead, we just came straight to here. And that's where we decided it's too cold, exit the program, we're not going to have a swim. So this is the decision-making area in the Octagon program. And this is one action, which is to have a swim. And then this is the other action, which is to not have a swim. Okay, so in Octagon, we use the any statement to make some decisions, and there's another statement called or, which we'll learn about in another video. And what we have is any and then a test. And you have two actions. One is the true action and the other one is the false action, which we discussed before. You can use the else part here so that you can have all of your options enclosed in the same any statement. So what we'll do now is we'll revisit our swimming pool example and use the else structure, use this method to make our decision and see how it's different. Okay, so we're back at the program that we were just looking at. So what we're going to do is, instead of just having it exit out here once it's done the decision, I'm going to take that out and we're going to put an else in here. And what that's going to do is let us move this up to this line. There we go, get that formatting right. So now what we've got is the true case. So I'm going to put true here. So this is the true case. And this is the false case. So if the water temperature is above Jack's threshold, this is the true case, we'll do this. And we ignore this one. We don't do anything with it. On the other hand, if the water temperature is less than Jack's threshold, or it's not above Jack's threshold, then we're going to do the false case and we ignore the true one. So what we'll do now is we're going to set the temperature back so that the water temperature is nice and hot, so we'll call it 30 degrees, and we will run the program, and when we do it should come here, skip that one, and then exit. So let's do that now. And as you can see, so the water temperature is 30, Jack's threshold is 20, so yes, let's go swim. So we printed this and we ignored this because this is the false action and the test result wasn't false, so we're fine. This is the true action, the test was true, so we ran this one. So if I now change it so that the water temperature is like 5 degrees and I run it again, you'll see the water temperature is 5, Jack's threshold is 20, too cold, there's no way I'm going to go for a swim. And that's because, again, the any did the test, it found that the result of the test was false, and so it skipped this and came straight down to here. For more information, visit jb.works.